We are having a conversation with Mr. R. Chandrasekaran, who is the Group Chief Executive at Cognizant Technology Services. Thank you so much for coming, Chandra.
Thank you. Thanks.
First, congratulations on a wonderful edition of Connect 2013.
Thank you.
Great lineup of speakers.
Yeah.
Let me start off with asking you one thing that really impressed me in your profile. You co-founded Cognizant from 1994.
That's right, yeah.
Now it's like 2013 into 2014, that's 20 years. Explain the longevity. How is it that you're able to think of an idea and really stick through it and make it so successful?
No, it's frankly, I even now I like to pinch myself that it's been 19 plus years since we started Cognizant, but I have to tell you that there's never been a dull moment all along, right from day one that been at Cognizant. It's mainly because of few things, I would say. Very open-minded culture. That's quite stimulating, right? The second is really the people. You feel so good interacting with people. You want to interact with people more and more. That itself develops a kind of a bonding, right? And I always tell our associates in Cognizant, right? One is, with any organization, you need to have that professional attachment, which is natural for anybody.
Sure.
But for a very successful organization, people need to have that emotional attachment beyond the professional attachment. I think if you have that emotional attachment to the organization, and if you have the right set of people, then the success of the organization is, I would say, pretty much guaranteed. That's number one. And the second thing for any organization to be successful and also be there for a long period of time, you need to really have something that you can bring the entire organization, sort of rally around a single theme. Otherwise, as you grow the organization, you're building your broad set of capabilities that can potentially lead to conflicts, right? But you can avoid conflicts, but if everybody works with a single-minded sort of a passion, right, towards something, towards accomplishing something, right? So if you can rally the forces on a particular axis, what I call as the axis of alignment, then you can see the synergy of the teamwork and you can see phenomenal successful. Then we can say 1 + 1 is not equal to 2, it's something greater than 2, right? That's what we've been continuously focusing on Cognizant.
Talk us through the genesis of Cognizant. So was it just friends who got together? So walk us through the genesis.
No, actually, we had a very great start, I would say. One is Cognizant was founded as an offshore captive center for Dun & Bradstreet Corporation. So we were actually founded by Dun & Bradstreet Corporation, and with a view to primarily service the needs of D&B globally, right? D&B was a $5.5 billion large corporation having presence in multiple geographies. So D&B started this initiative primarily to tap the IT talent available in India and take care of the group's needs. But within 2 years, we actually changed the business model, rather than being a cost center within D&B, because we were very successful in taking care of D&B's needs. Though we never really treated Dun & Bradstreet as our parent company. We never really took business for granted because we still had to go and convince to send work to India, because in those days, offshoring, I would say, was still in early stages. People were not very confident about sending work to India. So we still had to do a lot of convincing, but then we always delivered against the promise. That I would say it's very, very important to establish credibility in anything that you do. Once you establish that credibility, and then you can build on that and build those relationships, and then build a castle based on that credibility. Once the credibility goes, the entire castle can collapse, actually. So what we have done consciously in Cognizant is never lose that credibility. So we actually established that credible operating model, taking care of Dun & Bradstreet's needs. And then we said, hey, how long can we feed on the parent company? It's time that you have to find your own feed to exist and grow. So we went back to D&B and said, hey, we have a successful model. We want to replicate the same model, but outside the group, right? So by doing this, we would rather become a profit center within the group rather than being a cost center. So DNB also blessed that idea, and then we started looking out business, and since then we never really looked back. And subsequently DNB also restructured its business, hived off various divisions within DNB as independent companies. So as part of that, Cognizant Technology Solutions was actually formed, right? So we got listed in NASDAQ, and then the rest is history. So, but DNB they don't have any stake in the company, but still they are a very loyal customer to Cognizant, and we are loyal to them.
Good for you. Another very interesting thing is that I know a lot of startup companies are born every single day. And while it's easy to start a company, I found that it's only very few people can grow to the size that Cognizant is. How did you, even though it was DNB that kind of seeded the company in the initial, but how did you grow that small entity into this large organization that you have? And what advice would you give for other startup entrepreneurs?
For any startup venture to be successful, you need to have one of these, right? Either you need to have a fantastic idea, right? That path-breaking vision, which you can, bring it to market and be wildly successful because nobody else has those ideas, and then you can be wildly successful. Or you may be doing the same thing what others are doing, but do it differently. Give it a different profile. Try to differentiate yourself so that your customers appreciate you better than what they appreciate the competition, right? So if you can differentiate yourself and bring in the perceived value, that what you offer is better than what others offer, then you will be successful. So for example, Cognizant came into existence in the IT services industry pretty late. We were incorporated in '94, right? Many of the other companies were there several years before us, but we always felt that we never wanted to be an also ran company, right? We may be doing the same thing what others are doing, but we said we will do it better, we will do it different, and we will ensure that our customers value Cognizant more than what they value other companies, right? So given that sort of a thinking, so there are a lot of things that we did very differently. To start with, we are the first services company, offshore services company, to align along the industry verticals. Now, if I look at the early days, many companies were organized along the technology lines, and some companies were organized along the product lines or R&D lines. Some companies were organized along the geography lines, right? But we said technology is going to keep changing every 2 years, right? So we have to take it in our stride to specialize in emerging technology areas as we evolve as an organization. That's given, table stakes. But what takes time is to really understand and appreciate customers' business issues, right? If you understand a customer's business problem, the chances are that you will be a much more valued partner than just trying to bring in technology to solve a business problem, right? So we don't want to be, we want to be a business solution provider leveraging technology. We don't want to be a technology company. That is the subtle difference. We may be doing what others were doing, but then we brought a different business flavor to the way we delivered services. So that was a differentiator, right? The second is when we went public, right? We told our investors that our operating margin, we would return an operating margin of anywhere between 19 to 20%. But if you really look at '98 when we went public, most of the other offshore services companies were returning an operating margin of anywhere between 28 to 32%, right? It's not that Cognizant business was less profitable, but we wanted to invest more in the business, create newer capabilities, thereby bring in more value to our clients. And if you bring in more value, they're going to give you more business. So what we told our investors was, we will invest anything excess of 19 to 20% back in the business, and in return for that, we will bring you faster growth than other companies in the industry. So since then, we have been the fastest growing services company in the industry. So our financial model is very different from most of the other comparable firms. Even today, our operating margin is 19 to 20%. Some of the other larger companies have an operating margin of about 26%. So our play in the financial model is different, so we have a lot more leverage in terms of investing more in the business so that we can grow faster, we can be a lot more proactive in building capabilities because we have the financial leverage. And then the third is any business, you have to sell your services and you have to deliver against what you're selling. So that's a standard business model. Then when we wanted to look at our customers, selling should not be a different thing, delivery should not be a different thing. They need to coexist, and we want to ensure that we never overpromise to our clients as part of a sales process. At the same time, once you make that promise, you always have to exceed and deliver against those expectations. So we thought of a two-in-the-box operating model where sales and delivery would be one integrated sort of a team, right? So it's not that somebody is selling and somebody is delivering. So our philosophy of under-promise, over-deliver, it really brings a very different customer experience, right? So that was the operating model, what we call as the two-in-the-box operating model, where the sales engine and the delivery engine are tied to the hip. And the delivery team also is responsible for business growth, right? The business development team also is responsible for quality of delivery. So they work together as one team in bringing the best of Cognizant to any client engagement. So the customer satisfaction levels keep going up year after year, and then you get a lot more repeat business. So that's how we have been able to sort of grow the business significantly faster than competition. So if you really look at it, our organizational model to start with was very different, path breaking. Our financial model gives us a lot more leverage to grow the business faster. Our engagement model with clients brings a fresh air. And so we try to be different. That's what I was making in the beginning, right? You may be doing the same thing, but do it differently so that the perceived value is much more. We talk about multicultural work environment. While we should be open enough to embrace multiple culture and work seamlessly, but what is really important, I talked about the axis of alignment, right? We need to develop our own organizational culture that people, wherever they are located, they should be able to relate to. In fact, we often talk about Toyota as a product, right? Toyota may be a Japanese company, right? The product that they manufacture in India or US, we still talk about Toyota, right? There is an organizational culture, there is a quality of what Toyota stands for. That doesn't really go away, whether you are in India or Thailand or US or Japan. So we need to really create that, what does Cognizant as an organization stand for, right? And create a culture around what you stand for as an organization. Once you define that explicitly, then people, wherever they join, they may be speaking different languages, their culture may be different, but they will all align with the same, the principle that we as an organization stand for. Then it becomes easier. So while as we embrace multiple culture, it is important to identify and create and define what is your own organization culture. Once that is defined, then it becomes easy for all of us to work together as a team. I believe in teamwork, right? I don't believe in just doing everything myself, right? I delegate a lot, and I also meet with the team regularly to ensure that the activities are going through normally. Even organizing this, I'm the chairman for this edition of Connect, right? I didn't take upon everything myself, right? We formed a steering committee. We distributed the work amongst ourselves, and then keep periodically checking whether anybody needs help. So as long as you work together as a team, you feel less burden in accomplishing what you're setting out to.
Any time management tips that has really helped you, Chandra?
It is important. You need to really have a plan, right? And periodically monitor. The principle that I have is anything that I do, I have a plan, I'll monitor against that plan. And then every morning I make a checklist, right? What are the things that I need to do? I'll keep taking, end of the day, I will check whether all those things have been done or not, right? So this is a routine that you have to get into, right? And frankly, I don't believe in taking upon everything to do it myself. I delegate, I work together as a team and ensure that the task gets accomplished. Actually, failure has never deterred me. If I really look at it, it's not that success has come to me every time the first time, right? In fact, I've always met success probably the second time around, right? Even when I graduated, when I came out of school, right? SSLC, my results came, got first rank, right? So I applied for reevaluation. It so happened that there's some mistakes, so they corrected, I became the first. Then even after I graduated from REC, right? After pre-university, I got into the Karaikudi Engineering College. That was the choice that they gave, right? But I wanted to join REC, never got REC. Joined Karaikudi, then within 2 months, they said there's a vacancy in REC, you get transferred, right? So that's how I joined REC. Even after coming out of REC, I worked in Ashok Leyland for 3.5 years. I did try for IIM when I was in the final year of engineering, never got into any of the IIMs. But after 3 years of IIM, I said, okay, let me do further studies. So I prepared for IIM. So got into IIM Bangalore. So again, the second attempt. So I never get bogged down by failure, So take it in your stride, move on. And, I always tell the team, I tell to myself, don't chase success, let success follow you. Right? So do your job, leave the rest to whatever happens, let it happen.